Today is a very special day, the very first episode of On the Smooth Side with your boy BSmooth. Hey, I'll tell you what, it looks like a beautiful studio. Shout out to the people at U42 Studios for hooking your boy up, but it's On the Smooth Side. This whole show will be about broadcasting with high school athletes, college stars, the up and coming, the future. Then you're talking about the NFL guys, the NBA guys, the pro, the past, the future. It's going to be incredible. This show is all about the athletes and their stories, and it's your boy B Smooth trying to tell their story. Today is a very special one. You got an Hawaiian boy from Massachusetts. Again, y'all remember, I'm from Boston too. You got a Massachusetts boy. He is the all-time rusher in a single season for his high school. He's a two-time state champion. He is a Harvard player right now, D1 running back. My boy, Xaviah Bascon. My guy, how you feeling, man?
Yo, I'm good. Thank you for having me here today. I
Yes,
really
sir.
appreciate it.
I appreciate you hopping on. I will tell this quick story. I was coming up with this show, trying to think of the idea, and I thought of a bunch of athletes I could reach out to. The first one I reached out to, and the first yes I got a lot of no's, but the first yes I got was my boy Xaviah. So I'm gonna call you X to make it simpler. Number one, how is training going? Obviously, the season's coming up. How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling great actually. So I'm actually coming off of 5 months of PT because I got surgery on my hip back in January, right after the season got finished up with. So I just got cleared basically like 2 weeks ago to just really get at it. And so training's been great. I just been lifting, running a lot now, trying to get my legs back and just trying to get back to where I was before, and if not better by the time season comes.
Did the hip injury happen just naturally through the season, or was there a specific play that happened near the end?
Yeah, so I think for me, what happened was last spring during like spring ball and stuff. I started to like feel it, and it was kind of like a thing where it was, you can play through the pain, like the pain of it. So I didn't want to miss last season at all, especially with it being a big sophomore year. So I decided to push it off, play through it, and I was able to do a little bit, but it definitely was limiting for sure. Just wasn't able to make like some second level moves that I'm typically able to and things like that. So I'm excited for this season to be able to really showcase what I'm capable of, like being
100%.
near 100%.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, I'm hoping for a great season. Now I'm rooting for you. Now I'm a Harvard fan all of a sudden. I don't have any college football team. I'm a Harvard guy now. Let's start with where your story started from. You're Hawaiian native. I'm assuming your parents are from the Hawaii, maybe generations before.
Yeah, so my dad's from Hawaii. He was the big football guy. He played out Maui High School. He as a junior, he broke records there. He was like the first guy to rush for like 1,000 yards in 6 games. So he has some crazy records out in Hawaii. He was a guy that was actually offered to a bunch of West Coast schools. He had Oregon, Washington, bunch of those schools. But his senior year, he ended up moving out here. He's from a family of 14, and so they got priced out. They ended up here, um, and he played high school his senior year at Stoughton. Was able to be the Massachusetts Player of the Year here, but he
Nice.
kind of lost like all his offers and situations with that. So he ended up walking on at Northeastern and earned a full ride there, like after like a few weeks of practice. And that's where he played his college ball. So and then he ended up meeting my mom here in Massachusetts. My mom's from Revere. Um,
I,
she's a white lady, and my dad's Pacific Islander. So
hey, I'm all for it. But you
yeah,
said 14, like 14
yeah,
kids.
yeah. There's so including his parents, so 12 kids. Um, yeah. So I got a lot of aunts and
So
uncles.
I know all about. Again, I'm Nigerian. I'm born and raised there in Boston, then moved to Atlanta. I know about the big families. 14 is
Yeah.
crazy work. I'm not gonna lie. 14
No,
14
it
is
is
insane.
wild. It is
So
wild. I'm one of eight. Well, one of six kids and family of eight.
damn. Okay, I see you.
Yeah.
But getting to that story, eventually I saw, it's funny. I was doing my research and looked up you on YouTube, on Twitter,
Yeah.
trying to find old clips, clips that no one else has seen before. And I think I found something. I'm going to show it eventually. We have clips of you playing, like, it looks like has to be middle school basketball, has to be like little elementary school basketball and football. I'm assuming
Yeah.
some, auntie, mom, whatever, was
Yeah.
recording you way, way back wearing 24 like Kobe. Where did the inspiration come to play football? I know you said your father, but what about basketball? Did he play basketball too?
Yeah, he played basketball a little bit. But I just loved both sports, honestly,
Yeah.
growing up. Like I have an older brother and he probably led the way with that and I just kind of followed suit. Um, but I'd say basketball was just always like I loved watching Russell Westbrook, to be honest. That was the
Okay.
guy. the way he played and just like his anger and the way he just attacked the basketball court, that's how I tried to play when I was growing up. And I think he made me like fall in love with basketball, but
Yeah.
football was definitely my dad.
No, I feel that. No, okay, I'm gonna say that before the next question. Which sport are you actually better at? I know you go to college for football. Are you actually better at football than you were basketball though?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
for
what I was
sure.
about to say. So the jump shot wasn't there. Now again, I'll tell you what. One day if we link up here in Georgia, I go back to Boston. We're gonna play some at least one on one. We can be equal there.
Oh, let's do that for
Okay,
sure.
anytime. Now you went to I'm gonna pronounce it right. Swamp Scott High School. Is that pronunciation?
Yes.
Okay, you went to Swamp Scott High School. I saw your journey. I saw you actually, funny enough, when after you already agreed to this interview, I saw you post off your story of how you made it basically to college. You basically said you had an injury, you were not being playing time. What's the story of you in high school going from basically no one looking at you, no one knew who you were, to getting an offer, what, 10, 11 months later?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things, because obviously people see Harvard and they're like, all right, he has to be smart, he has to be an academic. I think the craziest part too is my freshman year of high school, I finished with a 2.7 GPA, and you
You
don't
sound
see
like me,
too
man.
many,
Okay.
and you don't see too many guys, be able to have a 2.7 GPA and then end up at Harvard in their life. So, for me, it was more just like a full story of like adversity and a full, I guess three different perspectives of one athletics, academics, and then just like family. So yeah, early on, I came into high school undersized, had to switch my position to receiver from running back, and I played running back growing up, but
Yeah.
um, just I wanted to get on the field, so I was able to play the first game of the year. Somehow I balled out, like did pretty well in sevens, so I got in the rotation. I scored the first varsity touchdown of the year as a freshman. But we did play, like I played at a small high school, like the
Mhm.
town I'm from. So I live in a town called Nahant, and we are too small to even have our own high school, so we go over to Swampscott. Swampscott's like, yeah, so Swampscott also is maybe like 600 kids in the school.
What?
So it's small, really small ball. We're Division 5. At least when I was there. I think they dropped to like D6 now, but um so, I was able to touch the field, score the first varsity touchdown of the year, but from there, I didn't really touch the field again. I think I was just too small, to be
Yeah.
honest, but that ended up, like sparking something in me and just seeing like two dudes that were older than me. One kid's name's Jonathan Oriaki and another is Emmanuel Toshoa. These two kids were like, they were so bought in with football. And so they got me to kind of really buy into with like all the extra stuff, like going to camps and like training, all that stuff. And so I was very blessed to be exposed to that early on. Um, and so through that, I was able to, I guess, pick up sophomore year. Um, and that's when I started to play a lot more. But I still had to deal with a bunch of, I had ankle injuries, I had all this different stuff. We still had a bunch of like talent, I guess, skill wise. And so that, I wasn't getting the ball a bunch either. So where it comes for me, where everything kind of flipped the switch was somehow when I ended up injuring my back in COVID. So COVID, when that hit, what's it called? I ended up doing a bunch of lifting, right? And I went from after my sophomore season when we won the state championship from like 155 pounds to like a year later being like right around 200 pounds.
Wait,
And
wait, wait, wait. Were you taking creatine? What kind of protein were you taking? What
bro,
bananas were you eating? What's going on here?
that's
What were you eating during
yeah,
that period there?
yeah. So definitely like creatine I was on. My dad got me a bunch of like protein stuff. And then I was just eating, man. Like the amount of food I was eating, because I was like, yo, I gotta play running back. Like I'm not trying to play receiver. I gotta go back to my old ways, do what my dad did, I gotta play that. So yeah, dude, I was eating and just lifting like crazy. And I think honestly that's what probably brought upon the injury, the back injury. Is because I didn't really know what I was doing when I was lifting. I was just going in the weight room 3 times a week, like squatting. Then I
Gotcha.
was benching, like I was just doing those big lifts, compound lifts, and then I wasn't doing any of like the accessory stuff. So then I just do that, lift crazy, lift as heavy as I could, and then I call it a day. And during COVID, I was just like doing that, and then playing video games after, or doing my running, whatever else I had to do. But yeah, so that's that term called dirty bulk. I don't know if you ever heard of that. That's what
Mhm.
I did during that time. And thankfully I was able to run and everything on top of it, so I didn't get slower or anything. So yeah, that's how I put on majority of my size during that time.
So why running back? I know you mentioned you didn't want to play wide receiver. I don't know if you don't
Yeah,
want to go across the middle, but running backs get hit even harder. What
yeah.
about running back made it so special that you had to play that position?
My dad playing it, my older brother playing it, and then just for me growing up playing it, and everyone I watched when I'd grow up, like I was just always a big just student of the game, just loved to watch football. Like I could sit down even when I was little, just Sunday, 1 p.m. all the way until 9 p.m. just watching
Yeah.
football. Like it was just easy for me to do and I loved it. And I felt like everything just even from when I was young, just growing up was dedicated towards football. Like even when I played basketball, it was like, all right, how is this helping me get better at football? And it was all the lateral stuff, obviously all that stuff that came with it. So I think just being like just so in love with playing running back growing up, my dad, family doing it, and then just everyone I looked up to, like when I watched football growing up, like whether it was Le'Veon Bell, Marshawn Lynch, Reggie Bush, LaShawn McCoy, all those guys. They were just studs, and just being able to have the ball like a good part of the game and know that it's gonna come your way rather than running routes and you can get wide open, not even have the ball thrown to you. So I think I just love being able to have the ball in my hands and know that I can make a play.
Now, fill me in on this. I know in NFL media and really NFL Twitter, people have this perception of running backs of being almost like divas or either being workhorses. Either you get the ball or you don't get the ball.
Mm,
Describe to me if you're in an offense that pretty much runs the ball like 4 or 5 times a game. Harvard's pretty pass heavy themselves.
mm.
Is that frustrating? Not feeling like you got to get into a flow momentum, or is that just a myth? You feel like in the third carry or third quarter you never got a single carry, you can still run as hard as you can. What's that myth there?
Right. I think it just comes down to like your perspective on everything going on, right? Like if you're gonna be frustrated with it, it's not gonna do you no good. I think you just gotta take it once again, like how life is in general, like taking one step at a time, right? One play at a time. You just got to do your best every single play and every single opportunity you get, even if it's not you getting the ball. If you got to pick up and pass protection, if you're running a route, like you just got to do it 100%. And I felt like that's something I learned from when I was young and playing receiver. Was like, yo, if I want to get recruited, I got to make a play no matter what the play call is. So if I got to block on a run play, like I'm a
Yeah.
block as hard as I can. And so I feel like that perspective for me has definitely traveled over. And so like yeah, this year for sure, like we are pass heavy. Our quarterback's a stud. We had a really good wide receiver who ended up doing a grad transfer to Duke. So we were definitely pass heavy, but every opportunity I had, I felt as though like I made the most of it. And whether it's me blocking my butt off or having to go catch a pass or just run a route in general, like I definitely embraced my role no matter what.
So is it true, speaking of Harvard, that you had one offer leaving school, and I think you did some like academy or some type of
Mm.
sports camp? You had one offer, and it was the only offer, which was from Harvard.
So before I even left to go to prep school, I had no offers. I had nothing finishing my senior year of prep of high school, despite me breaking all the records for my school in a single season. Um, so originally I was like, I'm gonna look to go prep school. I don't know what's gonna happen because I built my GPA up, but to a 3.4. And Phillips Exeter Academy being the number one prep school in the world, it's like, you're taking you don't know if you're gonna get in or not. Like you're talking big people with big money that have been there, like Zuckerberg's from there. Duncan Robinson played his hoops there. There's a lot of famous people that have been from there. So um, yeah, I had no offers, was blessed to get into that school. I remember I called my prep school coach right when I found out. I was like, I really got in, coach. Like, yo, I'm pumped. Like, so I was super excited for that. And just to know that I had the opportunity to prove myself that summer at camps. Because I was never camping at college camps before that summer. So I was like, this is gonna be good. And so that summer I went in without offers. I went to a BC camp, first camp I attended, and I ran a 4.39, a 4.41 40.
Hold on,
Um,
hold on. We can't. No, no, no. We're not gonna just squeak by. No, wait, 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 wait. We're not gonna squeeze by that. You said a 4.39,
yep,
and this is at
yep.
you said 2:10, 2:15.
At that time, I was 195 and
Okay,
198. Yep,
okay.
yeah.
You
So
think you still run that right now, or what's going on? Because I've been told I've been pretty fast too. We can play basketball. We can run a 42. We can do one or the
yeah,
other.
yeah, we can do both, but shoot, coming off the hip right now, no, but by the end of summer, yeah,
You got that. Okay.
yeah,
Continue the story. And actually, real quick for me, because again, I'm in Georgia.
yeah.
I'm assuming prep schools are a thing down, but I'm not too sure what they are. Explain. You graduate high school. What is a prep school? Is that what is that? Explain it to us.
Yeah, so prep school is once it's private school, and basically when kids go to prep school, you have the choice to reclass, which reclassing is like freshman through junior year. You reclass, you go to that school, you stay back, and so you get an extra year of high school basically. But I finished my 4 years at public school, so I did a postgraduate year because I graduated from public school. So after I graduated, I decided to go take an extra year of high school. A lot of people do it more for the academic side when they decide to go to prep school, like it prepares you for college. And it definitely does because if you ask anyone that went to Exeter, they'll say Exeter was harder than whatever college you went to. We usually send like 10 people, 12 people to Harvard a year. Like they're yeah, they're a very educated school, I'd say. So yeah, prep school is just like to prepare you for college, give you an extra year, whether that's academically or for athletics. And so I used mine for, I guess, both. And more to give me like originally the extra opportunity to prove myself. Instead of like the JUCO route, I guess West Coast would be more like JUCO. That's what they have, and East Coast is more prep school. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, so where were we? We were talk camps. Okay. Um, yeah, so Boston College was the first camp I ever did college wise. And so I put up those numbers. And from there, that's when like I started getting a lot of attention. I posted my card on Twitter right after, and a lot of coaches started to follow, started to get that attention. So after that, I ended up going to it was like three IB camps, um, Yale, Columbia, and then Harvard. Um, and after that, I finished the summer with an offer from Stonehill. That was it. Harvard, when we had communicated, it was more about me have I had to show that I was capable of doing the schoolwork at Exeter before they were able to offer me. So I basically played at Exeter that fall, trying to prove myself academically and athletically, and I was able to do so. I played really well, I guess, towards the second half of the season. I started off the year 3 touchdowns in 3 games, which was slow because I scored all 3 touchdowns in the first game. But then after that, I scored it was like 16 in the last five. So
Okay.
I was able to step it up at the end.
So I have a lot of questions, obviously, about Harvard. Real
Yeah.
quick, again, I went to a very small school for the University of West Georgia. I had a
Yep.
2.5 GPA. So the GPA difference is you were saying 3.7 wasn't good. That's crazy because I would have been blessed right out that. But anyway, your GPA leaving Exeter was what?
My GPA leaving Exeter was so it reset when I went to Exeter, like basically my former transcript, I don't think really mattered. When I left original prep public school, it was 3.4. When I left Exeter, it was a 3.6.
3.6. So,
Yeah.
man, that's crazy. So, is there an ACT, SAT? Did you take one of those tests?
Test optional. So no, I
Wait, so
didn't.
you got into Harvard just off a 3.4 alone?
Yeah, yeah, basically in athletics, yes.
Damn. So
Yeah, being an
basically, if I was
athlete
smarter,
helps.
I could have went just like you. Oh, that's basically what you're saying. If I had a little bit of, again, my grades weren't good. My grades
I
weren't
mean,
good.
considering you're an athlete, yeah.
So,
From what you've been saying in your videos, you saying you hoop and you was a football, you were a player. So considering you were a
so,
stud, yeah,
so back in the day, again, we can find some footage. Back in the day, I wasn't that good. But however, I was decent enough to play on the freshman high school football team. I was on that.
yep,
Etowah Eagles, shout out to him. I was on that squad. I played a little bit. And then I realized, wow, these guys are a lot bigger, stronger, and faster. So I took a year off, thought I would become bigger, stronger, faster. Then I realized that's not how it worked. These guys were doing
right.
something. I'm not going to say what they were doing, but they were doing something. Protein, creatine, we'll say the legal stuff. They did that. I came back my junior year to play football, and I was like, wow, these guys are really bigger, stronger, faster. Let me not do this. So I went away, tried to do basketball, realized 5'10" people shouldn't play basketball. So then I stopped playing basketball, and then I started doing this. I do content creation for you and I. So anyway, let's get into this. At Harvard, number one, why Harvard specifically? Is it just because they chose you? Was Ivy League always an option for you? Because I found out, I didn't realize this, Ivy schools don't give out athletic scholarships. Is that true?
So that yes, that is true. Um, so considering that, right? The prep school I went to is it's like 65,000 a year. Um, I went for free. Same thing with Harvard. I've been there for free. It's all financial aid based.
Gotcha.
I come from a big family. My dad's the only one that works, so it's all based on income. So I've been very blessed to be able to attend both schools that have, you know, a large requirement for money for free. So that's been a blessing.
Okay.
Um, what were you gonna
But
say?
why Harvard?
So why Harvard? I would say so. Yeah, Ivy was never that was never on my mind, honestly, growing up, and that's why it's really interesting to think about like why I even started trying school in the first place after freshman year, because it was always like how am I going to go to Alabama? How am I going to go to Penn State? You know, like you don't dream, like for me personally, coming from my family, I wasn't dreaming of going to Ivy. You know, my mom barely graduated high school. She missed more days than she attended. And then my dad, once again, he didn't even finish school at Northeastern. He had one class to finish to get his degree. And he was like, nah, I don't care. I'm
Wow.
just going to go be a stonemason like the rest of my uncles and family. So I have, out of those 12 uncles and aunts, I have one that finished college.
Wow.
The rest of them just went at least my uncles, they go in the fall, they just play football, then they drop out in the spring, and then they go back. So yeah, man, that's that's what they do. So school wasn't a big emphasis in my family at all. So that's why that part's really interesting when I look back at my story. I'm like, that's God, you know, that was God helping me along the way and just showing me, you know, creating this opportunity for where I am today. So with Harvard, why? One, I think the fact that it's in my backyard, right? Like I live 40 minutes away from Harvard. My family's all able to attend the games. The games are all very, like, pretty much local, all New England, basically. Um, so just to have my family at every game means a lot. Another thing would be, I mean, it is top three school in the world. Some would say one, some would say two, whatever. I'm not into that arguing. I don't care. I'm just blessed to be there. So, you know, that definitely played a factor too. And I just say, you know, like having the academic and athletic piece, like just it's gonna take care of me the rest of my life, just having the Harvard degree. Um, and my only other offers at the end of the day were it was Harvard, Georgetown, and Stonehill. Those are my three when I finished prep school. I had a couple PWOs, but yeah, I only finished with three offers. So
Hey, well, Georgetown's nothing to slouch at, but
no, all
as a
right.
guy who is a running back for Harvard, and you're also going to school, and what are you majoring in? Do you know what your major is?
Yeah, so I'm psychology and economics.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Now, see, now we twins. Now, not only do we hoop and we play basketball and play football, we also are psychology guys. I graduated in psychology and marketing. Shout out to the
Oh,
University of West
sweet.
Georgia, but we're two different levels because obviously my classes were nothing like yours. What is a day to day like for a athlete that also has taken a top three school courses?
Yeah, so the day to day depends, right? So like in the fall when I'm in season, um, you know, you in the fall, like you have less leniency with your schedule. You got to try to bang everything out in the morning. So I'd say you wake up obviously pretty early because you got to get to a morning lift or whatever it is, morning film, stretch, whatever you got to do. So you'd attend that, and then right after that, it'd be probably around like 8:15, 8:30. You go to breakfast. You go to your first few classes, which would be all within the hours of like I guess like 9:30 to 1 o'clock ish. And then for us, our practice starts around like 3:30. Usually you watch a little bit of film before with your group, position groups. Then practice will go anywhere from like 4:15 until like 6 ish. After that, you know, you shower, go do your PT if you want. None of that's like mandatory, the PT stuff, unless you are injured, then you're on a card and you got to check in no matter what. Um, but you go do that, then you got to rush to get dinner because dinner closes at 7:15. The big thing about Harvard is they don't want the athletes getting additional privileges than any of the students.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they don't have like an athletic dining hall. We don't get like special food or anything, special treatment really. So
Well,
yeah, that's the big thing about Harvard. They like just fairness amongst everything. So um even though at the end of the day I feel like we have to do a little bit extra by being student athletes, but you know, that's for another time. Yeah, so then dinner, and then after that you got to either do you try to do some of your work. Good thing about you know, colleges is usually don't have work every night that's due. Usually it's like by the end of the week or something. So you just got to be able to like map that out. And then I think the biggest thing for me too, like where my schedule probably differs than most is like my faith, and that plays a big role at like nighttime, whether it's me going to like a specific group or just spending time reading my Bible, praying, just trying to talk to God.
So, and we're going to definitely get to the faith thing because what you do on
Yeah.
TikTok, not only with the tips and tricks, but also sharing your faith and the scriptures, definitely got to get into that. And actually, y'all should get a shirt.
Yeah.
BSmooth merch dropping soon. Good God Almighty, it's dropping soon. Shout out to the Lord. But I have something to ask you. So I know again my college history other than West Georgia, but I wasn't an athlete. I know about NCAA football 25. So I know about the video game. In the video game, if you drop below a certain GPA, you can't play. Is that true in college sports in general, and especially for Harvard? Is it something crazy like a 3.0, a 3.5, or do they not care like that much?
No, so yeah, it matters. You can't. I think it's different for the Ivy. I think it might be around like a 2.5. You
Okay.
can't get below, maybe something like that, 2.4. Um, but I think for the other schools, it's more like a 2.2. We've had some guys who have, if you slacked academically, you got to leave for a year. So you're gone from school for a year and you got to work for a year and then you can come back. But if you fail again, I think you're done. So I think it's academic probation.
Mhm.
Um, it's either if you get like two D's that happens, or it's like if you fail that happens. So you gotta kind of be on top of it like that. But I think at the end of the day, right? Like it can be challenging, school can be hard, but like as long as you do your business, do what you're supposed to do, like you reach out to your I guess TFs, you'll be able to handle your business. Like and it's not that bad. You get the resources in a sense of like you have all your teammates majority of the time in your classes. It's a little bit different for me. There's not too many like psychology guys, but there's a lot of economics guys.
Yeah.
Um, so it just kind of depends on what route you go with that, I'd say.
So number one, if y'all don't follow my boy X on TikTok, I'm sure on Instagram he does the same thing. He posts these tips, like top 3 tips of how to play running back. Best position to play, easiest position to play, worst position to play. All of these basically breakdowns again from a D1 athlete. If anyone you listen to is a D1 athlete, if you can give us 3 reasons or 3 tips for someone listening to this video who also wants to play D1 football, regardless if it's Harvard or not, what are the 3 biggest tips you can give someone trying to go play D1 ball?
Yeah, so regardless of it being Harvard, I would still say take care of your academics. And the reason being is in today's game and football today, especially with the transfer portal and stuff, the better your academics are, the more opportunities you will have, right? Because if your academics are lower, you close doors to big schools like Stanford, like Notre Dame, like, schools that you definitely need to be more academically eligible for. Obviously, there's still ways they can work around some things, but if you're not super like as talented as that dude, but your grades are more, more there, it may help you in certain circumstances. And I mean, the Ivy is a great route to go now, especially with being able to grad transfer like my teammate who's at Duke now because he has his degree from Harvard and now he's going to get his business degree from Duke. So like and also like I don't got to worry about no one transferring in. I know the coaches are fully investing themselves into me at Harvard because they ain't taking anyone else. Like
Yeah.
I'm their product. They're going to try to help me, develop as much as I can to be the best player I can be because I'm going to play for them for 4 years or however many years, whether that's 3 if I grad transfer, right? But so I'd say academics still take care of because it'll open many doors. Um, another, I'd say 2. You ought to just be willing to just be persistent in your approach to go D1, right? Like you gotta almost like remove that sense of being like embarrassed when it comes to like reaching out to coaches and trying to reach out to people in general, right? Like I always give people a bunch of credit when they reach out to me and ask questions because there's so many people that won't ask questions because they're afraid to either not be answered or to be ignored or whatever it is, right? Just be persistent in your approach, like whether that's, just continuously sending DMs to college coaches on X, not Twitter now. Um, or, just posting things all the time on Twitter, just because all it takes is that one video, that one clip, or whatever it is, to just gain that attention, and that's gonna help. And then 3, I would say you gotta go compete in front of them. You gotta go to their camps. Camps are gonna be important. I know at my like I was just working the Harvard camp yesterday. Like we had a bunch of other schools that were there on top of Harvard. So it's like it's not only are you going to have those coaches looking at you, but you're going to have all these other coaches there that can check you out and you can showcase your skills in front of. So I'd say those 3.
So is it true? Because I remember when Huddle was, I think Huddle still is a big thing, but back when I was
Yep.
growing up, everyone posted their Huddle clips on Twitter, on Instagram every day and every night, honestly, to the annoyance part. Is it true that coaches are just scrolling Instagram, finding random players, no star, no one star, no two star, random running backs, random wide receivers, their highlights, just watching them? That's actually true.
I think I would say the biggest thing is like once you start getting attention, that's kind of how more coaches will come across you. Because the big thing is like interaction. So if one coach likes your thing on Twitter, it could pop up on another coach's feed, and then another coach can see that. So like that's how my like at least it started to work like blow up for me when I posted the BC camp, right? I posted the 40-yard dash I ran, and by the side of it, I also posted my card that showed all my other like stats with it. And so right there, right when other coaches were following and liking, it just brought more and more coaches. And so, yeah, I'd say like it's true. They're definitely looking like their coaches at all times are like basically all football, other than when they do go home. And I bet they still look at things like
Yeah.
when I'm in the office and I see my coaches working, like they're always doing something football related, and especially during this time. Like this is when they're recruiting, this is when they're looking. Um, so they definitely are scrolling. They definitely scroll for sure, and they see what other coaches are looking at, and from there they may get interested. So
Now, looking ahead to this next coming up season, I know you said you're healing from your hip, and obviously prayers for that. Guarantee you're going to be coming back even better, even stronger. What's the goal for Harvard this year as a team? What's the goal for you individually? Obviously, tough loss last season to end the year. What are y'all looking forward to bounce back from for this season?
yeah, so the goal as a team now is we're finally for the first time in our history able to make the playoffs. So we're going to be competing for more than just the Ivy League title. We're going to compete for the FCS National Championship, which is cool. Will give us a lot more exposure too, which helps, being able to play, potentially a team like North Dakota State, Montana, one of those cool schools. So it will be good for us to, be able to do that. So I'd say a big goal for us would just be make the playoffs and let's see how far we can go in the playoffs. And then I'd say for myself, just better than last year. My goal is always to improve and do better than I did before. So, last year it wasn't the best year. I was definitely like I left the season like, yeah, that a little frustrated with the way I performed, but I had a lot of things going on. I had my hip, just some problems that were, not allowing me to play to 100%, but still got over 500 rush yards, like 6 touchdowns. So this year, just be let's up that, but let's not go for 550. Let's go for 750. Like let's set stone. So I like to set my standards a little bit higher, if that, a little bit, if that makes sense. But as long as I'm improving, I'll be happy with that.
No, definitely a team leader answer. Like if you're playing 2K right now, you just got A plus teammate grade everything. The fact that Buddy didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to get 2,000 yards rushing. I want to break Barry Sanders' record." He just says, "I want to improve." That's such a great team leader. We got to love this kid anyway. This is an amazing player. This is my type of guy right here. We're going to have a couple more questions left. Now, is your goal to go pro? I'm asking you this right now. Is it to go put on a business suit and do something else with psychology, or is it to go pro? What's your goal here?
Yeah, the dreams to go catch is to go catch the dream, to be honest, is to go pro. Whether that, just get any opportunity to go pro. I think, I'd be blessed to even step on a professional football field one day. But once again, I think it just comes down to like as long as I'm doing, God's will, God's plan, like I'm blessed, He blessed me to come this far. No, not too many people get to play the game at the next level in general, like whether it's D3, D2, D1. I've been extremely blessed, and just even to score a touchdown at this level, even to just, touch the ball at this level, like just those little things, I've just been extremely, extremely blessed by the Lord. And, um, if it's by his will that I do play in the NFL one day, then God bless, God willing, that's amazing. And, I'd be incredibly excited to do such.
I think you mentioned something really fast about players just kind of underselling what it means just to play college football. I think even from friends of mine, I think everyone says, well, if you don't make the NFL, you weren't good enough. If you don't make the NBA, you weren't good enough. And people almost dismiss that you were one of the few that get to play college sports, whether it's D1 or to JUCO. What does it mean to you just to be a Division One athlete and to play and to start and actually get your name on a jersey and play on ESPN? What
Hmm.
does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot more than like, people think, right? Because you're living out your dream, like that extra 4 years, it's just once football's done, especially football, right? Like you're never putting on the pads again, unless you do those 37 U leagues that like that guy AJ Green or Destroy have been looking at. But like you never put on the pads again, and that's the thing with football, right? So, I'm just so grateful that I'm able to be here, and by the grace of God, right? Like I'm able to play this game, and even though it looked like I could have been done years ago when my back injury happened, right? It's such a blessing to be playing football at this level, and to start at running back, and to just even play in a big rivalry game like a Harvard Yale game where you know we bring in like 60,000 people for that game, and we play in historic stadiums, and it's just awesome. There's no other way to really describe it than just like it's just a true blessing to be able to play at the next level and continue to live out the dream. Like,
X, I appreciate all of your time, and real quick, talk about my faith real fast, and I believe it's
yeah,
the same faith X has. I have been a faithful Christ follower since the day I was born, and it's more than just a religion; it's a relationship with the Lord Almighty, and it's something it means deeply to me. So, not only did when I saw his highlights, not only did I see his messages and his tips and tricks, it was the fact that he was so public about his faith daily, not just here and there when he chose to be. It's daily. So something I really respect about X. X, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. If you can end this show with a quick prayer for us and
yeah,
everyone watching, that'd be amazing for us.
yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, we could bow our heads then. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, I'm just so thankful for this opportunity to speak here today. I thank you, BSmooth, for having me. This was a very blessed discussion, very blessed opportunity to just, speak with each other. And, I love his content, and I've been so appreciative to just get to know him, and be able to communicate and talk. And Lord, I just continue to pray that you may lead us and you may guide us, and that our eyes may be set on you and focused on you, um, and just continue to base our content and focus our content to glorify you, Lord. Um, and good God, you are the one that we keep first, and you are the one we keep praising. And in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. My guy, I appreciate you. Xaviah Bascon, Harvard running back, a superstar. Might lose to me in a 40-yard dash. But my guy, X, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate y'all watching. It's been On the Smooth Side, episode 1. Thank y'all.